do that before.
All right, welcome back.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hi.
I forgot to play our intro.
Yep, that's
I'm
what I
gonna
was
do that
missing. I
real
was like,
quick, folks.
whoa. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I didn't know you were going to do that. Usually we do like a countdown and kind of collaborate on what's going to happen, but we were
Yeah,
wrapped up in a.
a conversation pre-hand that we kind of wanted
It
to.
was my fault. I was like, all right, we got to get going.
Yeah.
But we have a habit of like using up all of our subject matter before we actually go live. So
Yeah.
we got to get Hayden a mic.
It would be nice. That is true.
He could do it from right there.
Hmm.
He could be like a moderator slash producer or something like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to produce right now. Literally like um I don't know. Watch. What do they do? Like Jamie looks up stuff for him so he doesn't have to do it.
They produce stuff. Is how I kind of think
Right, but
about
I
it.
mean
Like they literally.
like he'll
I
hit
think
like
they
he would be
are
the
in
one hitting
charge.
the intro button. He would be the one,
Yeah, and
Jamie
that
would
that
or
to me
whoever.
sounds more like a moderator than a producer. But a producer to me is somebody who gets in contact with the people that have what the guy wants. You know?
I thought moderators were like just volunteer people in the chat that were very
Well, yeah, so
yeah,
that's definitely more like an actual Twitch thing.
uh,
Where if you're thinking like a moderator, those are people like viewers that are constant viewers that you give
yeah.
a specific access and they can like ban people for you and
They're
stuff
people
like
that
that. They're
want
like your
something to do.
loyalists, yeah.
Yeah, they're interns, basically.
Yeah. It is. They are like your number one fans that will like die for you. And
Yeah.
when I think of like Twitch moderators,
There's this show that I listen to called Night Shift, and they have guys that make them like music, like theme
Mm-hmm.
songs, like action figure AI action figure little videos with
That's
songs.
fun.
I mean, they're goofy, but they're kind of cool, and they're
Yeah.
just sending them out. And then they'll whatever these people do for a living, contributes to whatever they contribute, whatever they give
Yeah,
them,
whatever they're doing in that.
and they're getting to the point where they're pretty big. So
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, no, you can just hang out.
yeah,
But yeah, it's been fun getting to do this process, you know, get into the
yeah,
actual
just
streaming process and
kind of figuring out little bits and pieces of it and how to make it a little more streamlined or whatever, easier as we go. It's been nice, but definitely doing for our situation anyway, doing the live has been good. It's made it so we put it up, or we
yeah.
don't have to put it up. It just is up, and it just is what it is. Whatever lands.
Yeah, our flow of information is a lot smoother, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And we got Bing on here.
Yep.
Nice.
And there he is. So your audio is going to be coming through here now. 'Cause I can't.
Everything I have muted is mute, or I can mute is muted. See what I mean? One of these days we'll have people in the chat that are gonna like give us. Okay. So I got to go to him and mute his. Okay. Ah. Mhm. Nice. Okay.
So
So each person. So like last week when Deshaun came on, I could have gone to his and
yeah, like
muted it,
you should be able to hear Hayden.
and I can still hear. I can't hear him through here yet. I thought he had a mic in
Hey
there.
Hayden, can you say something?
I'm not talking right now.
Okay,
And you can hear
I can
this
hear you though.
through your
Yep.
headphones. Okay. So yeah, we'll definitely keep him muted on here. So yeah, that'll keep this quiet. You should be able to still just watch the stream
Yep.
whenever we're doing.
Perfect.
All right, sweet. So welcome. Got a guest.
Yeah, we got a guest.
He'll be here in the background,
He's not really a
contributing where he
guest.
can.
He's usually here.
Oh shit. Yeah. But yeah,
It just
so-
occurred to us that he has the ability to be connected and join in if he when he feels like it.
and we'll probably have other people doing the same thing
Yeah.
in the future, such as
Probably,
Deshaun
yep.
and Ethan.
People that are kind of Discord friendly, actually.
Yeah, that's a super nice thing about Discord is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people use it.
Like
So-
Ryan wants to call in, but
Yeah.
I would have to get him up to speed with. He just wants to like every now and then be
Hang
on
out.
to bullshit.
Yeah, that'd be super
Um,
fun.
But that's one of the things you'd have to do is get on Discord.
Yeah. Which is always fun to explain to somebody new who's
not
never
that-
used it before.
It's not that bad once I realized I think my problem was that I was kind of because at the same time that I was learning Discord, I was working on using thing like platforms like Riverside,
Mm-hmm.
something to help with podcast
Yeah.
editing and stuff like that. And it seemed really similar to me because I mean you can have people use those to join your join your conversation.
And I remember I struggled with Discord
And there's something else
when I
called
first started
StreamYard.
with it too. You know, like I had a group of friends back in the day that were on PCs primarily, and you guys had just gotten what you call it, me and Ethan, our PC, the one he has now. And so
StreamYard or Discord's been around for a minute.
yeah, I think like since 2010 or something
Yeah.
like that. You know, it's not like the oldest service in the
But
world.
it has to have like evolved at some
Yeah.
point because I thought for a long time it was just a group chat.
It was
thing.
originally being developed for a video game, if I'm not incorrect. Like it was supposed to be like a video chat in a game. And I could be wrong here. It wasn't originally.
It's from 2015.
Huh? It's 2015.
Yep, it's 11 years old.
Hmm.
It was publicly released in 2015.
I see.
That
Really?
helps with that. Yeah.
So how long before that, before it was publicly released, was it being used? How is that?
Question.
How is that even possible?
Um,
What does that mean? If so, it was publicly released. Does that mean it was up and running before that, in another capacity, or what?
yeah, it was running in a public beta, for about
Okay, so like
2 years.
early
Hmm.
access.
Okay. Ah,
Yeah, the project began in 2012 by CEO Jason something.
Oh,
And
Who?
it
Just
finally
reminded me of something
released
else.
in early
Sorry.
2015.
I did not know
This
that.
is
I
good
didn't
to know.
realize it was 2015.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I knew it wasn't like as old as YouTube, you know, like mid 2000s,
hmm
but I didn't realize it was that young.
It's
You
pretty-
know, in terms
it's
of
pretty
grand
young
scales.
for-
I mean, it's been around. It got a lot of traction really hard, you know, because stuff like Skype existed long before Discord did, you know, or like Zoom or anything like that. And they just really dropped the ball, you know. They just had like this shitty platform that just did not work, and they were like the only service doing it for a long time. It was like the only way to like video chat or just kind of chat with like voice on a PC.
Yeah.
And it just they never did anything with it.
Like,
they never got any better. You
There
know?
was a time that the internet was pretty well known to me. Like I would get around on it because that was my shit. I'm thinking like what year would that be? Ish. It would probably be around 2000. It would be between 2005, 2008, where all these changes were happening, right? And the internet was evolving. These crazy platforms that we have now that are almost like appendages,
Yeah.
um, weren't really there. You had the internet and you had chat rooms, and it was really pretty basic. And you had like social media just
Yeah.
coming up, like MySpace, and then Facebook was the new kid on the block. And then I kind of something shifted in the way I approached the internet. It just had to do with normal life changes, moving.
Hmm.
I stopped like coming home and sitting on the internet and reading after work as my relaxation, and started streaming and listening to a lot of my content during the day via my headphones, whereas before it would always be just music on either the radio or a playlist that I had made that was on my Palm Pilot. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus. Um, and from that point, the point that I started like listening to, I kind of got stuck in just in a groove with what I like YouTube.
Yeah.
That was my main content provider because it was simple. I could turn it on. I would get my music off of Google Play, which was eventually YouTube Music, um, and listen to either books on Audible and uh, content, podcasts, whatever on YouTube. What I didn't realize is that was kind of like not sitting down, getting on my computer, getting on the internet, looking around, and just exploring.
Hmm.
Made it so that I was pretty illiterate really fast internet wise. Like it happened really fast. Like Reddit came
Yeah.
around. I was like, what the fuck is Reddit? I was like, I don't understand. It was like, you can look at my Reddit subreddit. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't even know what Reddit is. What's a subreddit? And like it just seemed superfluous. I was like, why do you even need this? It's just another thing for people to write back and forth on,
Yeah.
write their little articles. I mean, that seems like what people did on Facebook anyway, and
Yeah.
things like that. So it seemed redundant to me. But one thing that became abundantly clear is that redundancy is the name of the game in the internet. There's always going to be somebody
Yeah.
doing pretty much the same thing, just in a different name, and it becomes the latest greatest, obsession.
Yeah.
And so Reddit now is becoming kind of old. And when Discord came around, I was like, what? It's like a group text fucking platform. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
And like Reddit is more like a discussions platform, I'd say, more so than maybe more along the lines of something like Twitter
Isn't that what a
than
chat
like
room is?
Facebook. Yeah, but it's more like a general, like almost like blog post. Like somebody will have a problem,
Yeah.
right? Like, cause I use Reddit all the time. I don't have an account and I don't post on it, but there's so many times where I'll have a problem with my computer, and the like real like answer from like a human being, will usually come from Reddit. Like
Yeah.
they'll always have a top post that has my
There's
exact
really
problem.
interesting shit on Reddit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's
And
just so
that's where you
useful.
can find the most links directly back to like 4chan and
Yeah,
the
God
darkest corners of
forbid
the
you end
fucking
up on
internet.
4chan.
Yeah, but that's what I
4chan's
mean
no
is that's
bueno.
why I always
Yeah.
stayed away from it because I was like,
Hey,
I don't even want to see what I'm accidentally going to see
Yeah.
on those. I don't have an onion router. I don't have like no interest in exploring the dregs of the internet. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a time when I was kind of like you would go down the conspiracy
Hmm.
rabbit holes because it was just like a train. You couldn't stop looking,
Yeah.
but now that a lot of those, wow,
Yeah.
we're-
His microphone
yeah, now that
needs an
those,
upgrade. We can close that door if you
yeah,
wanna.
maybe I will just to separate it. No offense, hey, Bing.
We just gotta get.
Um,
We just gotta get you a new microphone.
that's all right. But it's not
my
bothering anything.
microphone's good. It's just all the way up.
It's yeah, and we're not that far apart, so. Um, but anyway, the whole idea of the conspiracy rabbit hole,
Mhm.
the attraction went away when so many, not all of them, but a lot of them started becoming like news items and things that
Yeah.
are actually real. And so I didn't have to go down conspiracy rabbit holes to like, they might still be kind of fringe or whatever, but
Yeah.
I would still I'd be able to follow them pretty easily without having to. Now there's people that dig, and those are the people, the podcasters that I I listen to that I admire, and if I was able to spend more time on it, I would dig the way they do in
Yeah.
some of those corners, you know. But um, I don't have the need to do that now. I can still kind of get a lot of it secondhand and know that I'm watching a lot of the things that I looked at,
Yeah.
um, and spent time being, I don't know, entertained by it. Like, ah, that'd be crazy if that was real. Now I'm watching some things kind of like just, what's the right word? I don't want to say bloom, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they're kind of opening up into a more mainstream, or two or more two. They're opening up as a mainstream topic
Yeah.
and not a conspiracy thing. So now all I can think of is when I do hear some of the like the really fringier things that some of these folks dig up. I can't help but wonder like how long it's going to take for that to be something that is revealed to be a real thing. Because at this point, I'm like, wow, I so many things are so many bizarre things have come about in the past. Like I would say between 2016, yeah, 2016, maybe even 2012, when things started getting really weird in real life, instead of just reading about the people that have like, you know, that are writing their stories on these uh, obscure little websites, because you'd actually have to go and look them up. Like I would look up ideas and things I was like curious about back then,
Yeah.
and then it would take me down the rabbit holes, and it was a little harder um, to find. And it wasn't. They would usually be because I was springboarding off of one thing I had just looked into,
Mhm.
and it would bring up another fascinating thought, and I was like, oh my god, I got to check into that and see what, you know, if that's a real thing. And then I would get in there and it'd feel itchy, and like I would be like, yeah, but you know, I mean, come on, I think you might be kind of crazy, dude. And those some of those, not all, but some of those exact things are being talked about just without any disbelief by so many people these
Yeah.
days. It's just blows my mind. That's all. I guess that's all I'm trying to get to, is that some of the things that were seemed so crazy and bizarre in the early 2000s are now kind of just run of the mill stuff that happened, and some are really really bad, and some things are just kind of bizarre,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying.
So the I guess the where that whole rambling session was coming from was the idea of Discord and Reddit and everything being a new place that, because a chat room, Discord seems like a chat room, a multimedia chat room. You know, it's got
Yeah.
you can communicate through many different
It,
ways. You know.
yeah, I'd say it's just the most like user friendly at the end of the day because I feel like chat rooms are kind of hard to master. You know, like a good service platform for like hanging out. You know, there's just never been a platform that is better so far. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just because you can clearly see where people are, you can customize what rooms you're in. You know, you can use them for this purpose for podcasting, like we are now. You could use it to watch movies together, to play, you know, little simple drawing games. If you're in a game yourself, like as a PC gamer, it becomes invaluable because there are so many like games that you're gonna want to be able to hear
Mm-hmm.
your buddies specifically over everything else. And then if you want, you can just mute and deafen everything and hear nothing but the game and get them through the game too. Get their voice that's being used through the game
Yeah.
instead of through Discord. And there's never been anything else that's just been so simple to use. You know, you can get really fast with it and just like switching back and forth between the modes and the different channels and stuff like that. You know, I've seen it utilized in a ton of different ways on YouTube and games specifically, you know. And that's why I think it just blew up. It's because like people would have an idea in a game of how they would want something to go, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're playing a game with a bunch of people where you're all adventurers and stuff, like a Lord of the Rings type of setting. But you guys want to split up and like discover the town and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can like mute yourselves as you like split up, you know, and act like you're not next to each other anymore. And then when you reconvene, you just unmute again, you know, and it's simple, but it makes the game experience better. You know, it's something that allows you to kind of like get a little more
It's
immersed
definitely
in
so
it,
much
you
more
know?
immersive. Yep.
Yeah. And the game might not have any intention of like doing that, you know?
And that's like back in the day, chat rooms, people would get online and talk to each other about their video games.
Yeah.
They would talk about it, and that would be fun for them, I guess. Because I mean, I would want to avoid chat rooms. I just didn't like them. They just
Mhm.
felt like a place where people went to that. I don't know. It just seemed like if you didn't have a life in the real world, then you were in a chat room.
That's fair. And I
It's
feel like
not like that
Yeah,
anymore.
that's not too far
I
off.
was gonna say back then it was
Back
probably
then,
more on point,
but
especially
so
it
many
always
people
to me
now.
a chat room, like just a text to speech chat room, always feels like you're talking in a cave. Like
But
you can't see, it's pitch black, and right you just hear a voice come back, right? And like you kind of like your imagination does a
yeah,
lot of the building of like
yeah,
who this fucking person is, you know, based off how they are writing, you know, how many quotations, whatever. So I've never felt super comfortable with it because it's fake by nature. It's a
mm-hmm,
fake human interaction, no matter what. You know,
yeah,
talking like physically talking back and forth is better. You know, there's
yeah.
more of a connection there. You get more of a sense of like what's going on with the person. But like texting, like I've never been a good texter. I'm always straight to the point. Like, okay, yes,
Mm-hmm.
no, fucking, that's it. Because
Yeah, and you have to
I don't
stop
want to
to do
sit
it,
there and
and yeah,
fucking, you know, and like put a whole bunch of effort into something that's just not really that meaningful. You know, at the end of the day, they're just text messages. They are just like messages. They're as important as writing some on a piece of paper and giving
yeah.
it to a bird,
It's,
letting the
and it
other
always
guy
cracks me
know,
up. There's
like,
so many
okay,
people
yeah,
that want to have their like the whole like small talk conversation
on
via
a text
text, and
message.
I'm
It's
like,
like,
man,
dude,
I don't really, I can't right now.
yeah, just call me.
Don't be offended.
Just call me. I would
Sometimes
much
when there's
rather.
somebody that is doing that,
Yeah,
sometimes I'll just like fuck it and call them and be like, so
yeah.
let's small talk this way because
As
my hands are doing stuff.
me and Deshaun will do it all the time, but we'll start to text each other and it'll get like more and more in detail until one of us finally just calls the other person. It's like, oh hey, okay, so
Yeah,
this is what I was, you
it's
know, like
easier.
it, you know, we don't even like think about it, you know. But he's somebody that like I don't even think about it. I will go all the way, you know, doing some crazy text because it's funny between me and him, you know. So it's
Not
like
only
it's
that, dude,
different.
like texting can be like so misleading because
Yeah,
you'll be sitting there talking, bullshitting, and then you'll say something that you think is funny and it's kind of like a little off color, but you're just joking because it's lacking that inflection in the voice
mm-hmm.
and everything. And then all of a sudden, no response forever. And you're like, what?
What happened?
I'm sorry. That was, um, but then you don't want to respond, and be like, I'm just kidding. That was a
Yeah,
joke. You just want to like sit there and not, not seem like you're overly sensitive about it because it was a joke. But then it's like crickets. And
yeah,
so if that was a
yeah,
conversation, you're kind of you're in the conversation. You have to respond. A lot of times, people, it's not because they had anything to do with what you said. Like something came up, they had to drop their phone and go do it, and then they
yeah,
don't come back for hours or days. But that's what happens in texting, and
yeah,
it can be deleterious
yeah.
for relationships if that's the only way you are communicating. I think. I don't know. Maybe, I
Yeah.
mean, I think people are probably getting better at it, and I'm just behind the curve on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a little different now, especially like in a game, you know. I'll sit in a chat or something like that, but there's something to do, there's something to look at. Way less cavey feeling, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You were going to interject.
yeah, you were. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say it's only gotten like a little bit better nowadays. You can only really show so much emotion over text.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's like
I mean,
if I have to, I'll just like stop and hit the call button, and that way I can
yeah,
kind of continue. Because if I don't do that, I will forget like I'll be busy and not respond, and it'll be forever, and
Hmm.
it won't be
Yeah.
intentional, but then it can be, next thing you know, that has built up to a whole thing in somebody's mind or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And
But
you know, still definitely happens.
Especially with distance, I've had friends move away that I haven't kept up with, that
right.
I wish I had, and it's like now they've changed their numbers or I've changed mine, and
Hmm.
it's like, damn, I remember that guy. We were really tight. I was supposed to reach out more, and I just, you know, too much time goes by, and then there's like,
Texting helps with that, though. If you
yeah,
could
like
like
I was
keep
gonna
it
say,
going.
me and Joe do really good at keeping up with each other, but it's very just low. Both of us are pretty low maintenance when it comes to reaching out. We just go for like heartfelt stuff because it is so much time is in between when we do talk to each other. Like we'll call
Right.
each other around each other's birthdays and like pretty much catch up on the year and just like any major things we can think of. We'll geek out about new shit.
Hmm.
I'll try to sell him on a game usually, and like, dude, we should totally play this because he's just not that much of a gamer anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
he
surprising to me.
well, he works a lot. He's got the step kiddo now.
That's the culprit.
Yeah.
Work.
So it's just it's definitely he's like the only long distance friendship that I've actually like kept up over
Maintained. Yeah.
years. Yeah. And I think it's just because
But you
we
guys were
both
very
match.
close.
Yeah, we
When
were.
it matters, it matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But
It's
at the
one
same
hand
time,
holding the mountain.
we do go past the texting and we actually
And there
call
were
each other.
people that I had that were like that. It's crazy. It doesn't it doesn't take too much for it to peter out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it won't be because of any reason. It won't be because, oh, we're not friends anymore. Life, it just happens, and sometimes there's big changes that happen, and sometimes they're happening to one. Sometimes it's like simultaneous, and then next thing you know, your your communication's tapering. It's
Yeah.
tapering down, and then you stop. Like I've got friends like that from back out east, and we didn't stop being friends. Every now and then we still like say, hey, what's up? But because of that distance, that it seemed like modern communication kind of alleviated.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
the intention to maintain contact tapered the life events, not on purpose. It's weird how that happens. I mean, and I I don't even think it's maybe it's possible to like get it back to where it was. If you never had an event where like, shit, man, I don't think I'm friends with that guy anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you didn't have something like that happen, you would think you could keep it going. But I think that I don't I don't know. You're in that interim. You've developed different interests. You don't have
Yeah.
things in common anymore, and that's ultimately what keeps people kind of knit.
Yeah. And I felt that happen with different friends as well. We just kind of like grew apart or not as close, but at the same time, you can definitely, make time when time matters,
Hmm.
I guess. Ethan really taught me that probably more than anyone, just because we ended up kind of just growing in very different directions,
Yeah.
but we both wanted to still keep up our relationship, like how close of brothers we are. Um, so we just,
And
made
I think that's where
compromises.
the effort comes into, you know, it co- the effort comes into it is that you have to like I don't know, remember. It takes one or the other to remember what you had in common,
Mhm.
and then keep that one thread going,
Yeah,
and then other things can kind of
flow in.
peel off of that.
Yeah,
Um,
and new people,
as long as you maintain that.
like Daniela, I think really helped our relationship as well in the long run.
Hmm.
Just not like she like fixed him or like did anything crazy, but just like you got to do something that I like never did,
Hmm.
and like really take it by the horns, and
Right.
it was cool seeing him like nervous, and like coming to me for advice and stuff. Like
Yeah.
So it's good because then like uh she got she became friends with like my other friends, and then
Yeah.
like she ended up being really nice to mom, and like their family is like really nice, and it has felt good to have like new people to like have around in the ecosystem, to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like see the family grow to a point, in a degree, and like and it what feels like a healthy way too, not like super quick or like fucking crazy, just like these normal events where it's like, hey, we're having a family dinner, we should come over, we get to meet them and stuff and like really mingle,
It's been really cool to watch that evolve, and see the village kind of grow.
Yeah,
Again, I mean, the village shrinks, then it grows. It's just like
yeah.
it changes
As time goes on, yeah, people
with
do their own
families
things.
and individuals becoming more than just an individual, and then
Yeah.
next thing you know, you've got however many people added to the equation,
Hmm.
um, just from that one connection,
Yeah.
and it becomes more interesting, and you find yourself involved in other
More
people's lives
events.
that either it's either uh, to a certain. I guess it depends. I mean, we're um, I'm trying to figure out how to, because it's not just about that, but as things change with all of us, with each one of us, and each new, you know, relationship that we add to the equation,
Hmm.
it doesn't just add that one person as a relationship. It adds their friend group or their family group and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's kind of what makes it interesting, and it can be both ways. We've been fortunate, which I am happy to see happening. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You hear so many stories of the opposite. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that that's not the case here. But it is fascinating to watch.
I think we've all been pretty picky about our friends, the
Yep.
people that we do end up spending the most of our time with,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but it's always cool. It's cool seeing where people's stories end up, having a bunch of my homies come back from their adventure, and now I got a whole bunch of new people to meet from
Especially
them,
when they go off to like basic training and
Yeah, doing what they did.
military assignments.
Yeah.
It's a whole another storyline to absorb.
Yeah. And it's just interesting because, like, some people have not changed at all,
Hmm.
and some people are so absorbed with their change,
Hmm.
but at their core, still them.
Yeah. Takes
Um,
a little more digging to find it, probably.
well, I don't know, reconnecting with, like, yeah, with Alex, like, was like time hadn't passed at all,
Yeah.
basically, when we're bullshitting and we're saying our jokes and stuff like that.
I love that.
It literally felt like no time had passed. And I didn't speak to him really at all the entire time he was gone. And it was the same way with Davey, but
Just like hitting pause and then restart.
yeah, but Davey definitely was different when he got back.
Yeah.
Just he seemed more focused and just like a little aimless, I would say, for sure
Hmm.
too, Um but he also just kind of fell back into
No,
his
that makes
ways of
sense.
the things he was doing,
He was he was the military,
They
right?
both were.
They
All
both were.
three of them.
Okay.
So all the boys in that family ended up going. And Davey and Alex are the only two that I'm like super close with. But there is Anthony as well. He's like their Hayden. So
Yeah.
Davey's like me, Alex is Ethan, and then Anthony would be their Hayden, like of the, three boys. And I just I know nothing about Anthony.
Yeah.
Other than
About
he's
what?
very about Anthony, about
Oh, okay.
their youngest brother. I just know he's really good at guitar. You
Yeah.
know, I remember when we were all living together, they would be telling me like, "Dude, Anthony's getting really good at the guitar. He just like picked it up and started practicing, and now he's like kind of shredding." So they
That's
all are pretty talented people that just like can't sit still.
yeah. He seemed like a very
Davey's a gamer for sure, but he like is always working on a vehicle, and he just started doing some other work, like some blue collar stuff too that he
Yeah.
was telling me about. So like, dude, that's awesome. That's sick. Help
But
me build houses someday.
neither one of them are like lifetime military
Nah,
people.
they got in. They were like, well, I think I'm ready to go home.
They did
from
it
the
and then
sounds
they
of
were
it.
good.
Yeah, like they don't regret it, but they definitely did not want to keep doing it. You know.
Can you and Bing hold the fort? Well, I use the restroom really quick.
Yeah. Is there a Bing here?
Yeah,
He's still there.
yeah, I'm here.
Nice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, I got a question for
Yeah.
you, Hayden.
What's up?
The GTA 6 prices. Have you seen them? Have you seen anything on the new GTA 6 info?
I've heard that it, like the Ultimate Edition is like $100, and you get
Mhm.
like some stuff for it. I can't remember what it is.
Lucky for you, I definitely remember. I can tell you all
Yeah.
of it right now.
Yeah, yeah, I've only heard a little bit about it.
They released a ton
I
of
just,
screenshots, and the screenshots looked pretty good. You know,
yeah,
obviously. The
yeah,
biggest scandal behind it is the standard edition of the game is $80. They are going for the full Nintendo, you know, nice
yeah,
even number, right? None of that $70
yeah,
business. But the other thing about it is people are calling that the light version of the game instead of the standard, and they're calling the Ultimate Edition the standard edition of the game. And that is
it's-
because it is not just like cosmetics that are being blocked. They are full on stores, interiors, and a ton of cosmetics tied throughout the progression of the story. Right? So like
Yeah.
there's end game stuff that would be locked because you don't have the
Oh.
$20 upgraded edition. There's like a significant portion of the game being locked off behind a $20 paywall in a single player version. So to play the online version will be its own thing as well on top of that. An
See,
extra
that
like
almost makes
$20
the
at
game-
least. It's probably gonna be somewhere 40 to 60. Guessing how they're doing it.
That almost makes the game not worth buying.
Yeah, a lot of
personally.
Deshaun was talking about boycotting it,
Yeah, that's
which is a tough
That's
tough
just
sell.
I'm personally, for me, that's outrageous.
Yeah, no, it's pretty
Like
egregious.
you're making me spend $100 to get
To experience the full single
a
player game.
a full single player game.
Mhm.
Like you've
So
I can kind of like the $80 price tag, you know. I can like almost kind of get behind that because it's like they have been working on
if
this
it was the
game
full
for
game, sure,
like over a decade. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, if it was like it was the whole game, but they're trying to hide, like it's not just
And
cosmetics,
they're
it's not some like crappy deluxe version that is $10 more. It's like you're trying to hide stuff behind it, and it's like, dude,
there are interiors, whole buildings that will be like, nope, you're too poor.
yeah, that's not that's not worth buying. That's not a game that anybody should buy.
Yeah, it
They
definitely.
they have lied to everybody's like maybe not lied, but sat there and waved it in everybody's face for the past decade, and then went,
I
guess
don't know.
what? If you're not a if
You
you can't
know,
be a brokey if you
you
want to play this full thing.
you know they're going to abandon story mode like almost immediately as well. You know, so it
Yeah.
is literally them quite shilling, and like cutting out portions of the game and trying to resell it to you. They're selling you the game and then being like, well, if you want the full game, that's another 20 buckaroos, bud.
Yeah, dude, that like ruins
It's crazy.
any excitement for GTA 6 for me.
Yeah, so
Because
to get you caught up, GTA 6 dropped their like prices and Ultimate Edition, Standard Edition, all sorts of stuff,
Yeah.
and a bunch of screenshots. And the whole scandal right now is that they are kind of fucking gouging people for like the full version of the game. There's whole stores and interiors and vehicles and like mechanics of the game almost that will be locked out.
Really?
Yeah, you'll be able to look at them, but you will not be able to access them,
Huh.
Yeah,
unless you have the full
I
standard
I'm
edition of the
not
game.
buying a game just to be locked out of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
save that for Fortnite and all the rest of the free games. That
Well, it
makes sense
sounds
for
like
those games.
they're about to
You
be
know.
on their downslope then, because if they're just money grabbing, that means they're in trouble.
Well, I see. I
They've
think the
been money
worst part is
grubby.
that it's gonna be like, the Switch 2, where people just can't get past the idea of not having it because
Hmm.
of brand
The
name,
FOMO, the
and
fear of
so
missing out,
Mm-hmm.
to not,
which
not to be completely rude, but like brain dead people like that are what makes games bad. you know.
being a diehard fan is a double-edged sword for sure, because you will be taken advantage of by the things you revere the
Yeah.
most, right? Like I felt it with Nintendo, with the Legend of Zelda series. Like I used to be a crackhead for Legend of Zelda stuff, but the more you pay attention to like how they handle the Legend of Zelda IP and everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's hard to be a fan because you're like, it's just kind of lazy,
I
in
They
the long
somehow
run.
kept it going.
Yeah, it's one of the it's Mario, it's Call of Duty, it is the names, it's like McDonald's
yeah.
or King Supers,
Mm-hmm.
a
I mean,
safe, comfortable brand that can be used over and over and over again. That is
So
the
you're saying
king
they're
of
just leaning on
it's the
their
ultimate
brand.
goal of
yeah,
capitalism is to get your brand that you can sell over and over again to
Mm.
as many
they
different
are
people as possible.
Rockstar too. That's the other part, is that they have made.
Yeah, they
I'm
are
sure the story on GTA 6 is probably
one of the best that will be
maybe
out
gonna
there.
be one
There
of the
well there's a
best.
super good chance.
There's a good chance that that story is gonna be the best.
Ass. Either way.
Yeah, it's either really bad. It could be bad. It could be mid. It could be the greatest story ever
But
told.
look at GTA 5. GTA 5
Whatever.
does not have a bad story, but it is a mid story. You
Yeah,
know?
it's not a.
It
It's
is
not something
not
that.
really like, iconic. People don't like look back on that specific. It's not like Last of Us. Like Red Dead 2 is on the
GTA.
level of Last of Us. That's why it has the
Yeah,
potential to have a very like one of the greatest stories in gaming to date.
yeah. Like GTA 5 kind of just became like a weird hub. Like kind of just like.
Very Fortnite before Fortnite was even a thing.
Yeah, it just kind of became that, but with like, I don't know. I just like that kind of hearing about that really, that takes away any excitement and just kind of really disappoints me.
It
You
definitely
know,
hurts the hype. I
it's
think they should pay attention to it and maybe change some things. Obviously,
I don't know. It's just kind of heartbreaking. It's like that type of thing. Like
I think
it's
they,
it's just a sign that games are kind of going more and more downhill. You know,
yeah. Well, think about it. If they
to
do
me.
double back, right, change the pricing, release that Ultimate Edition as a standard edition for $80, right? They
Yeah,
would be praised for their immediate reaction, right, and their
yeah,
willingness to, compromise, basically, right? And if
It,
they
it's
don't, and
true.
they just don't do it, they will still make their money.
it sounds to me
Yeah,
like
I mean they
like
already have made
the
their money.
games are like in a. It sounds to me like the games are in a valley. Like it sounds like they're in a valley and they're kind of grasping at straws to at this point um,
It's like
remain relevant because there's so many ideas out there,
Yeah.
and they are struggling to create idea factories that allow them to keep
yeah,
people interested. And it's the same thing with movies. I mean, they keep people interested by rehashing old stories with sequel after sequel after sequel, that people see through pretty easily. And players are going to see the same thing with these games, that they're falling back on their legacy. Their legacy is awesome and people feel nostalgic playing them, and they're relying on people feeling nostalgic playing them. I understand that. I'm just listening to you guys talk about it, and that's
yeah,
what strikes me is that that is a very short-lived game plan, because they can only do that for so long. Once once people run out of that, which they will, they're like, okay, there's got to be something new, and if there's not something new, then I'm really depressed because
Yeah.
that means there's
Yeah.
that there's no new, there's nothing new to feel, there's nothing new to discover. You know what I mean? And these games are doing the same thing from what I'm watching. You guys do and everything, and you are all still interested.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I thought VR was going to do, is like take it to another level.
Yeah.
Add another dimension, a dimension of realism that made you
Physicality.
feel like you were, yeah, immersed in it on a, on a, on a level that allowed you to like move and be a part of the game in a way that you could never do before. All of a sudden, that went away. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, it became. I don't know if they stopped. Like you would have to tell me. Like if they stopped putting out content in VR. I haven't seen anything advertised in any of these games for VR like they were like just a few years
Yeah.
ago.
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because 2016 really was the start of like VR's exponential growth,
Yeah.
you know? And in the 2020s, when, whatchamacallit, when COVID hit, it hit VR pretty hard, you know? On top of the fact that they were not really in a position to do the scale of stuff that people were wanting, you know? Like Grand Theft Auto would be kind of a perfect game for VR as like an example for taking that next step, you know? Because those are already seen as like the ultimate playgrounds where you can do anything and like do all this stuff, right? If they could put put those types of games into VR, I think it would be the only way to like save them, you know, because they have to make new brands. They have to, like we were saying with the brands, um, you have to like stand out in a crowd that's already like super, super,
Dense.
drowning and dense. Yeah, it is. It's kind of sad because I think it's not going
Well, that's
anywhere
what I'm
because
wondering.
it's a
What do you guys
part
think
of
is
the
the next
culture.
thing? Because it is,
I think VR still is the next thing.
it
Personally,
has
I
to
think
be.
it's
It's
not
got to
just
be.
as
VR
fast
is
as
gonna be a
we've
way later
seen.
down the line.
Yeah, I
Like
think
how far though?
I don't know
I'd
because
say
the
I
interest in
personally
it isn't really there anymore. You know?
Well, all it takes is about 20 years is a generation.
Mm-hmm.
We're halfway through that. Um,
it's gonna kind of be like just how it was for the early years of just gaming in general.
Yeah.
Like
well, I
that's
think
how
that
I see it. Is that the part of my reason why I don't enjoy VR as much anymore is just because there is
It's very
a
samey.
lot to
I think you
do.
ran into. I think what they did is it became very apparent that there were limitations
Mm-hmm.
and that they could
Yeah,
not they couldn't jump that hurdle very easily. They couldn't do that and make a profit off the money they had to spend in order to create something that mitigated that problem. And that problem is, I think the only way around it is the one thing that Elon Musk is working on right now, and that's a brain interface.
Mm-hmm.
That one
I
interface is
actually
the only thing that's going to make VR actually VR,
I
like a
think
holodeck
the meta
I
glasses are another step in the right direction. You
ish.
know, making well, they're still working on the same technologies that they've been focused on for a long time, all the way back to the Google Glass type of ideas of like having these Tony Stark interfaces that you can like interact with. You know, that's
Hmm.
like it's augmented reality. It's not virtual reality, but it's augmented because you'd see your desk, you'd see all that, but then the gopher pops up on the desk. You know, the
Hmm.
virtual thing. So you have your virtual desktop and you're able to talk with people and stuff like that. So these steps are being made in that direction, but it's still, you got Mark Zuckerberg's whole VR idea, right? Of like what a meta
What's his?
world should be. Well, just his hijacking of Oculus,
Hmm.
like him buying it and then being like, we're building the meta
It
experience,
seemed like that's
and
when
it
it
is just
stopped.
flat on its face over and over again. He is like
yeah.
done more damage to VR than anything else, in my opinion. He has made it kind of fucking lame, If we're just being serious, like he
But don't
sucked
you think that?
all the
But think
coolness out
about
of it.
this. So there is technology right now, and here's maybe I don't know. Maybe this is. I think again another double-edged sword because I think it could be a good thing and bad thing depending on how you look at the whole invading the human biosphere. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
the your physiology in order for gaming to get really good, especially in the VR space, it's going to have to invade your physiological space a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and it doesn't even have to be like Neuralace, to where like Neuralace is for paraplegics and stuff like that, where it's actually implanted.
Yeah.
But bone induction has come a long way to where haptics could be actually really effective. With the sound and feeling. That bone, the actual. Have you ever? I haven't tried bone induction as far as headphones go,
Yeah.
but I know that it is a very. It's probably being used in the military a lot already for a long time. But you hear it in your head,
Yeah.
basically. Um, and I would think the same thing could apply for like haptics, to where depending on where sensors are placed on your body, if they're in the right place, you could feel your movements and everything as if you're in the real world through
Yeah.
bone induction. Um, the only thing that's not going to help, that sound, that's feeling, the only thing that's not really going to help is placement. And that's where you definitely break the skin barrier
Hmm.
with like implants, to where you're like straight up matrix. Because that, in order for you to like be able to sit still in a spot and then feel like you have freedom of movement for however far you want to go,
Yeah.
um,
I
that
think
would
it would
take that
take.
Neuralace
I think you
type thing.
could get to a point where like you could practice it. Like kind of. Because imagine like watching your limbs and stuff move. I would assume it would feel like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're starting to fall into sleep and you're like
Hmm.
moving around in that like kind of half sleepy state, and your body like juts because you go to like step off a step or something in this little fake little reality that's building. Right? It's not like a full dream, but you're thinking of something. You're thinking
Yeah.
of moving, and it happens to me all the time where I'll like go to step off something and I'll
Oh
jut
yeah.
up out of my bed where it's like, oh shit, my body was like
Yep.
expecting something and it didn't
The
happen,
sleep
right?
jerk.
But in my like little subconscious, I was moving, right? Like I had my limbs moving and I was like going somewhere. So I would imagine it would be kind of like that, where you could kind of get into a state of relaxation, right? Where you have maybe like your eyes aren't like connected to a screen yet, but you're still like a VR headset. It's just over your head still, so you're still fully immersed in the experience itself. But then you have, because I'm pretty sure they already do have technology that will connect to your brain and like connect to a computer, so you can control a mouse and like play a video game with just your brain, and they
Mm-hmm.
are I think there's like a story of a paraplegic man getting like the neural interface from Elon and like playing video
Mm-hmm.
games with it, and he was
Yeah.
like, it's unfair, like I am faster
I
than
know
everyone
that
out there
story.
now.
Yeah, because all he has to do is think and
So imagine
it
now
moves.
you're able to hook up that controller and completely align it with a virtual body, and now you're watching your limbs and stuff move like completely freely in a realistic way, right? And then you get like blown up in a video game.
The only
Wouldn't you
difference
not
there
like,
is that
whoa?
learning curve is going to be much steeper than people would think
Oh
because
yeah,
you,
that's like
you
a
have
bad.
to
That's like a mind body
control.
mastery.
Yeah, you and think about how hard it is for the average person to control their thoughts.
Yeah.
And to focus in order to do that. Now, if you're in a game or something like that, you're automatically gonna be focused in on it because you're naturally zeroed in on it. That's what you're
Hmm.
there for. And so your brain is gonna fall in step with where your attention is at that moment, right?
Yeah.
But like from day to day, I mean, like I don't know how often you've like read an article or a book or anything like that. Keeping your like reading a sentence, um, and keeping your mind from wandering, depending on how into it you are. So think about it. If you're playing a game and all of a sudden your mind wanders, I mean, you're dead in the water, because you're
Yeah.
you're not controlling your limbs, you're not controlling your weapons, or
It's,
depending on
it's
what
like
you're
driving a
playing.
car
Yeah.
subconsciously, is how I would say it.
Well, sure, and I agree. I think it
Definitely
could be
more
like that,
prone
but
to
that
accidents.
that would take that learning curve would mean that you would one good thing is you would become very sharp. You would be able to you would learn to control your your thought patterns, um, in a way that we've never been able to do as a species before.
Yeah.
Because you would the entire uh, not like it, not like your life depends on it, your actual life depends on it in a VR game, but when you're serious about what you're playing, that's the way people play.
Yeah.
Their life depends on it, and you tend to learn without the stress of doing something that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so you're naturally changing your brain muscle memories, for lack of a better word for this, um, to start allowing your subconscious to take over,
Yeah.
like driving.
Yes. And I
Some
mean,
people are better than that than others, as
yeah,
we all know.
it's kind of like a war because that's when boredom sets in. Because when you're not thinking, when you don't have to actively progress to the next thing, it's fun to have milestones. That's like the best part about a video game is seeing the mountain off in the distance and knowing eventually you'll get there. You don't know how exactly you'll get there right now, but it's like figuring out a puzzle or something like that. You find the next step and then the next step, and you
Hmm.
can see yourself building up to where you want to get. And then you get there, and it's like, oh, and sometimes the experience is the journey, right? Sometimes you get up there super shittily and you're like, damn, I could have done that better. So you do it
And
again
it's going to be
and
very
again.
similar to people learning, what do you call it, a controller.
Yeah. Or
Somebody that
like
plays
blue
video games
collar
all the fucking
work.
time, they don't have to think
Yeah.
to do the combinations that they do.
Yeah.
They have, even if they have never played that game before, they know there's a certain um, protocol that's used
Hmm.
over in general, and they're familiar with that, and so whatever the new game calls for, they can pick up much more quickly than a person who doesn't play very and is not familiar
Yeah.
with controllers in general. Same thing should happen with the brain game interface.
Yeah.
But it would be badass about that is that should carry over. Maybe it would maybe it would be bad too in certain ways, depending on the situation. I don't know. Um, but it seems like all I can think of is good carryover right now into real life.
Well, I
With
can
your
see people
ability to be sharp.
completely neglecting their body.
Their abi- oh well,
If we're going into
dude,
full
we're talking about
Matrix
people that are like
style
sitting
stuff,
there
yeah.
just yeah,
Like the
just
body's
plugged
not
in all
moving.
the time.
Yeah.
If you're plugged in all the time,
That's what freaks me out about
Your
it.
there's
balance
something
would be
else.
so much more important, I'd feel.
Yeah,
The more we get sucked into the computers, the more it is important to step away from them and like feel the sun and go
you're
and touch
right.
some fucking grass every once in a while.
And then and here it comes. Sorry, it was bound to come at some point in this conversation, and I was not intending to, but there's a theory, at least one version of this theory, that we in the future did do that. Our brains became very powerful, that we were plugged in like that.
Mhm.
Bodies became more frail, fragile, but we learned how to use it in a way that was almost like magic, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Become a wizard.
but we also lost our connection with our physical body, that made us unable to like procreate, reproduce, and things like that. And so there is a theory that a lot of these things that are coming into our reality right now are us in the future coming back to kind of either reconnect with their us, I say our, their, whatever, old physicality, um, and also at the same time, like, put some warnings in there for like, hey, don't, just try to avoid letting this happen to, you know, possibly change the past in a way. I don't know. This is definitely there. It's a real thing. It's just that the intention is a little bit muddled as far
Yeah.
as why future humans would go back in time, in a way that doesn't sound like a bad like sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But it is a theory. Michael P. Masters, look him up. He's got a lot of interesting shit. He's a pretty young like scientist. He's a what is his specialty? He's an anthropologist.
Mm.
He's an anthropologist, and he's written 2 books now about the one that I do have is called the what is it called? If there were people in there, they'd be screaming at me, but there's nobody in there, so don't worry. Um, oh, what is it called? The case for the oh, I can look it up. Where is that? It's not here. I definitely want to tell you about this because it brings it into this whole thing. Ultimately, and I was trying to go this whole time without bringing anything up about, you know, aliens, UAP, or anything like that, but
Sorry.
man, it comes in. Can't help it. Um, did Bing check out?
I'm still right here.
Okay, Hayden, you have your what am I hearing?
Your phone?
Oh. Okay. So you're a producer right now. Look up Michael P. Masters. Can you do that?
Yeah. I found him.
Okay, read his
Overview.
yeah, just read his like what he's got for books.
Google Books. All right. He's got Revelation, the future human past. Oh, that's just one book. Oh, there we go. Identified flying objects, a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the UFO phenomenon.
I think that's his first one.
2019. Yep.
And then the extra
Extratemporal. There it is.
Extra
Temp-
tempestrial.
Tempestral.
Extra
Extra
Tempestrial.
tempestrial.
That's quite the
That's
word.
why I can never remember it because it's that word
So
didn't make sense to it, but it's the case for the future. Or what does it say below it? Extra tempestrial. The case for. Let's see if I can
The extra tempestrial model.
model. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's used to say. Whatever. It is not there. But basically, his idea is that a a version of us in the future that has like physically declined because of our technological interests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm sorry about all that, but I mean, I have that book, but I stopped reading it or listening to it because I couldn't stand. I don't really like his voice when he's actually reading it, and it really just interfered with me enjoying what he was saying or even absorbing it.
That's fair.
But I've listened to him quite a few different interviews, and it is interesting. And if that were the case, um, it would be it would make a lot of sense in the fact that it ties into I guess our trajectory where we're
Yeah,
going right now. Um,
a Wall-E-esque world of people just
yeah, and
falling into their chairs.
that is a much more depressing
Yeah.
version. And that one actually, Wall E, like really is probably so much more realistic because of the fact that AI is becoming a thing, and if we continue on that route, then AI starts doing
Just
everything for
become the
us.
blood of an organism.
But I think
Because
the more
that's essentially what happened
I
to
think the
them. Is
more
they
realistic
became the
version,
like the breathing force of that AI. That allowed it
right?
to just keep on existing on in space. Because it got the call to come back to Earth, but it was like, nah, I like it out here. I'm in charge.
I think the more realistic version, though, than that, other than that movie, would be something that involved AI pretty much just eliminating us as
Yeah,
kind of a speed bump in its own evolution.
to become a fully just automaton
Because
based
us floating
like
around in space
system.
on little
But I like that it was
devices
locked
that
to its programming.
keep us from walking or allow us to not have to walk,
Yeah,
they're gonna be like, why are we keeping these guys around? I know they created this. I mean, but I don't think AI is gonna have very much nostalgia.
need for
You
us,
know?
or but
Yeah.
I do like the stories where they do rely on us. And I was looking at something that was talking about the Matrix trilogy, and kind of how ballsy the third one is with its ending, you know, how
Hmm.
it kind of broke conventions. It was like,